Well, all right, guys, what's going on? My name is Coach Cailah. If you don't know just yet, I am a certified personal trainer, life coach, health coach, life, all that fun stuff, and nutrition specialist. And so, what I do is, prior to COVID, I travel the country speaking on health, wellness, and fitness. But I also, more importantly, I build workout programs and meal coaching programs for clients that are dealing with anything from 5 pounds to 105 pounds of their goals for weight and fitness. So I reached out to Ama here, and Ama is an amazing life coach. I'm just starting my journey as a life coach. So Ama is an amazing life coach. I've done my research on her. She's got all the degrees. She's got all the certifications. And she said something super awesome about Superwoman Syndrome. And I listened into it, and I was just like, that's me right there. That's me. So, but before we get into it, guys, I want you to say welcome to Ama. Feel free to ask questions, all that. I've got you here. So Ama, tell us who you are, tell us what you're about, and a little bit about your business.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello everybody. So my name is Ama Bre, and I'm a life balance strategist and empowerment coach. So basically, what I do is that I help overwhelmed women find the time that they need for self-care, and then also to eliminate stress and burnout from their lives and overcome the Superwoman Syndrome so that they can be empowered and strong to go after their dreams. I do have a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, and I have a master's degree in organizational leadership and human resource management. And I just finished my life coach certification program to become a life coach, a certified life coach. And the program I attended was an ICF accredited program. So that's my goal, to get the ICF accreditation and the license. Yeah, so that's just a little bit about me. Apart from work, I'm a wife, and I'm a mom of twin boys and a daughter. So I'm a very busy woman.
Very busy.
Yeah, very, very busy.
So how is COVID and homeschooling affecting you?
Honestly, for me, I love it. I love it in the sense that first of all, I get to spend time with the kids some more, and being home for the long haul of since March, being home till, well, school went back anyways for us last week, so we're good. But until then, for me, I got the opportunity to rest and then also focus on my certification programs because, I didn't have to run around like I usually would, so I was able to sit down and actually learn something new. So for me, it was a good thing for me. I looked at the opportunities in it and I grabbed it. So that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when we think about it, like how many people don't find the opportunities, like I posted a little while ago saying, hey, what positive thing came out of COVID? And some people responded about, how they've been able to do certifications, how they've been able to, study more, read more, get whatever. And then some are just like, they're only focused on, the negative aspect. So you and I both we have to almost, it's ingrained in us, whether professionally as well as personally, just to think about just the positivity of things, And sometimes that can I don't want to say be a negative thing, but sometimes we can overwhelm ourselves with, okay, I have a little bit more time. Let me cram everything because I'm a superwoman. So I was really attracted to that, that main part of your conversation about, the Superwoman Syndrome. So we're going to jump right into it, guys. Again, I'm watching you on Facebook. Hey, I'm Melissa. Hey, Miss Gail. I see you guys on there. So give me comments, likes, love, feedback, all that. Also, you'll see that I posted Ama's links on in the comments. So please, connect with Ama. If you need a life coach, if you need a strategist, a success coach, all of that, she's absolutely amazing. So yes, now we're going to jump right into it. So Ama, Superwoman Syndrome. Tell me what it is, how often you see it, how do you know, or would I know a person know that they have Superwoman Syndrome?
Okay, so Superwoman Syndrome is when a woman feels that she needs to do it all to perfection. And so she stretches herself so thin while neglecting her physical, mental, emotional, psychological, everything health. You
Mhm.
know, so in plain terms, it's just when you just want it all and
Yeah.
you're ready to not take care of yourself and neglect your well-being so that you can achieve all the things that you're trying to achieve. So that's Superwoman syndrome. And I always tell people that there's nothing wrong with wanting more. I'm ambitious too. We are all ambitious women. But whilst you're going after your goals and your dreams, don't forget yourself. Don't neglect your health and your well-being. And
Mhm.
I know you said what are the characteristics? You know, what shows that a woman has Superwoman syndrome? The number one thing is a constant need to be busy. So if you can't stop yourself and you're always on the go and you can't even relax, and when you find yourself relaxing, you feel guilty. You know, you feel like, oh, I should be doing something. Oh, I should be on the road. I should be on the go. Then you have to ask yourself, do I have it? And
Right.
another thing is, you can't say no to people. People with
Mhm.
Superwoman syndrome just can't say no. So
Mhm.
you're not only busy about your own primary responsibilities and goals, but you're also busy taking on more from other people. So people ask you for help or ask you to do stuff. And even though your schedule is so busy and you can't even manage it, you just keep saying yes. So that's another characteristic of a woman
Wow.
who has Superwoman syndrome. And then we are perfectionists. You know, we want everything to look perfect as we've imagined it in our head because we are
Mhm.
visionaries. But the only thing is that you can't have everything perfect. It's life is not perfect. So, you know, when you can't let go of that perfectionist part of you, and because of that, you're going to neglect yourself and your well being and push yourself so hard so you can reach that level of perfection,
Mhm.
then probably you may be exhibiting some symptoms of Superwoman syndrome. And another thing is, even though we're so busy offering help to people and saying yes to everybody, we can't accept help. So when help comes our way, we can't accept it because we think that, oh, I've got it. Oh, I can do it. I can do it all by myself. We have
Right.
that I can do it thing. So we cannot accept help. And so that's why we are busy giving out to everybody else and to everything else but ourselves, because we can't focus on ourselves and we cannot accept help when help comes our way. So these are some characteristics of women who have the Superwoman syndrome. And there's a disclaimer here. This, I'm not diagnosing anybody, but this is just to create the awareness, you know, to check
Mhm.
yourself where if you do have some of these symptoms or if you show some of these characteristics. Yeah.
So, you have a degree in psychology, right? So, a bachelor's in psychology. So, tell me, what is the psychology? What is the what? Why do we as women oftentimes neglect ourselves in order to raise the family or our careers? Why is that? Like, what is the problem? Like, what is it?
Yeah. So, one of the reasons why some women usually have this is also culture. You know, a lot of us women have been brought up and schooled with a certain image of what the perfect woman should be
Mm-hmm.
or what the ideal woman should be. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us women are trying so hard to live up to these images. And it's not just cultural images, but now we have social media too, which portrays the perfect woman. And a lot of women are trying to live up to it. So even though we've not got it together, we are forced to put on that facade and act like we've got it together. And that is why we are busy trying to do everything, because we're trying to live up to that image that has been, you know, portrayed to us about who the perfect woman should be. Another reason is also because women with Superwoman syndrome usually have low self-esteem.
Mm.
So, you know, and that, I think culture also ties into that, because we're trying to live up to a certain standard. We are so fixated on that image that we tend to not see the good in us. And so we look down on ourselves. And that is why we want to, even though we've not got it together, we want to portray it and trying to get involved in everybody's business, because that's the way we validate ourselves. We're trying
Yeah.
to get that external validation instead of trying to find the validation within us. Another thing is we want that sense of fulfillment again, because we feel like when we live up to that image, then we feel more fulfilled. We feel like, oh, I finally am that woman. I finally am the woman that my culture or my family or society has portrayed to me that I'm trying to
Mm.
reach. Yeah. So these are some of the reasons. And sometimes attention. We just want the recognition and the attention. So that's why in the workplace, you find women who are always saying yes to everything, every project or everything that the boss wants to get done, because
Right.
we just want to be recognized that as the woman who can do it all, who is good, who's accomplished.
Wow.
So yeah, these are some of the reasons why women have Superwoman syndrome.
So you said a lot in that, and I want to unpack that. So you said three things I want to focus on. You said one, we're forced to put on a facade, right, and live
Yeah.
up to what we see on social media. Two, we expect external validation, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously, and then three, we are seeking a sense of fulfillment. We got a couple of people joining. So hey y'all, what's up to? Hey Ray, joining us now. I'm Melissa. She says, I don't think I'm Superwoman. I try and take care of myself. I hear my mom telling me that I'm being selfish. Now that's interesting. So Auntie, I'm gonna pause that first, and then I'm gonna actually, no, I'll get to that first. So, what happens and why do we as women particularly feel that we're being selfish when we want to take time for ourselves? Why, my grandma passed away several years ago, but why are we still hearing, okay, well, you're being selfish? Why does that happen?
Yeah. So it's a mindset thing. That's why I always tell with my clients, we do a lot of mindset stuff, because we want to, as human beings, anything that we see as positive, we are drawn to it. And anything that we see as negative, we run away from it because we don't want to be associated with it. And
Right.
so what is happening is that a lot of us women, again, culture comes in. We've been brought up, and in our mindset, a woman has to give it out, has to be nurturing, has to neglect herself so that she can be that woman, the virtuous woman. Also, if you're Christian. And so a lot of women are trying so hard to live up to that image, and they've been told, hey, it's selfish. Self-care is selfish. But indeed, self-care is not selfish. It is
Right.
not. And I keep telling my clients, it's a mindset. You need to see self-care as a positive thing, because it's your opportunity to replenish your lost energy, and to revitalize yourself so you can give back to people and to your loved ones and to everybody else. Because I always talk about the cup, and I have a glass here that I'm drinking from, and we women represent the cup, and the water in the cup is energy, our energy. So the more you're giving out energy to everybody else without pausing to take care of yourself and replenish yourself, you're draining yourself of energy, and eventually you're going to get burnt out. So a lot of us women have that picture, culture, society, our upbringing, it's in our head, and we need to get it out of our head and realize that self-care is not selfish. It's our opportunity to
Right.
replenish our energy. The same way, if this cup goes empty and I don't go back and put water in it, the cup is going to be useless for me, because there's not going to be any water in it. And I might try to drink from it as much as possible, but no water is going to come out of it until I go back and I replenish it. And that's the same way, we women need to understand that it's our opportunity to actually replenish ourselves and refill ourselves of all the energy that we we exert when we do things for people.
Mm-hmm.
So self-care is definitely not selfish, and it's a mindset, and that's why I'm creating the awareness here, just to allow women to realize that it's your job to give out, to take care of your kids. It's your job to go to work. It's good to volunteer to society and do so many things,
Mm-hmm.
but you are not a superwoman. So in as much as you're doing all these things, you need to pause and replenish yourself and refill your cup, so
Absolutely.
that you can have that strength and energy to give out to everybody else. If not, give yourself a couple months. For some people, it takes a month. Some people, it takes 2 years, but eventually you're going to get burnt out.
Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
what you said. Self-care is not selfish. If you're watching this on Facebook, you're watching this on YouTube, type in the comments. Self-care is not selfish. We need to have the time to replenish ourselves. We need to have that opportunity. One thing I wanted to ask was, again, we talked about we're often forced to put on a facade,
Yeah.
due to social media, due to hip hop. And I want to bring in the WAP video that I did. So Guys, I did a YouTube video and a podcast. If you're not following my podcast, go to www.coachcailah.com. My name is spelled Cailah. So coachcailah.com/podcast. And I did a podcast on WAP. Right. And so if you don't know what WAP means, it's wet. It stands for a 3-letter curse word and then a little cat. Right. So what happened was I had a client and we were in a session. We do strategy sessions, right? Health coaching sessions. And she told me about her previous week, and how it went. And she was saying, well, she pretty much had a physical reaction to the song, a negative reaction. She almost had an anxiety attack. And we kind of dug into, well, why, and just what you said, like she felt that was being impressed upon her, that she had to act like that she had to be like that. And sometimes we may look at that and say, oh, well, that's not me. I don't think that way. Or just because I listen to something doesn't make me want to, achieve that thing. But that's not true. Subconsciously, we may be in a strong state of mind where we're not affected at that moment, but you can't unhear what you heard. And the things that you hear, they often just dig in our spirit, they dig in our soul, they dig in our minds continually. And so we can get to a point where we may feel like, oh, well, because they're receiving external validation and they're doing this, I need to do this too. So we also, in self-care, we also need to eliminate what everyone else is doing, because my care has nothing to do with them. Like I often get, I don't want to say criticized, but kind of made fun of because I'm not the most feminine woman. I'm not the girliest girl. I don't really care about my nails. I don't really care about makeup and things like that. And for me, that's okay. Sometimes I would be, well, look at these girls and they're really pretty because they have all the eyebrows and they have all the makeup and their face is beat to the gods, they're all this. And sometimes I would put myself down and I would almost feel less than because I wasn't like them. Like I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I remember going out on my pro fights and with my sands, and they are some beautiful women. Like they're absolutely beautiful. And sometimes I wouldn't want to go out because I'm like, I don't have a sense of fashion. I don't know what to wear. I don't like wearing heels. So why I'm gonna just stay in. I'm gonna go stroll, but then I'm gonna go home. And we have to realize that our care should not be based upon someone else's way they choose to care for themselves. Someone else's care may be the pedicures, it may be the manicures, it may be those external things, whereas my care was more my body. It was more my health, more my nutrition, so we have to understand that, again, self-care, the way you choose to fill yourself, is not selfish. So let's get into those drainers and fillers, because you mentioned the cup, you mentioned, okay, if I don't refill this cup, what do I have? So sister girl, go on, I'm gonna do your thing.
All right, so the self-care method that I do with my clients is the drainers and fillers way of self-care. And it comes from the mentality that, whatever you do as a person either drains you of energy or fills you up energy. And when I talk about energy here, I'm talking about spiritual energy, physical energy, mental energy, emotional energy. So, as a woman, you need to make sure that you have a balanced, or you have the right amount of drains and fillers on your schedule. So drains are the things that drain you. So when you engage in them, you feel tired, you feel like something has left you, and it could be physical strength, it could be emotional strength, it could be mental strength, it could be spiritual strength. But this is that thing that when you do, you feel tired. And that's our usually day-to-day activities, like, cleaning the house, like running around with the kids, going to work. Most often these things are draining us of energy. And then the fillers are the things that when you engage in them, you feel fulfilled. You feel like, oh, I have brought back some of my energy. Oh, I feel good. Mentally, I feel so relaxed. I feel like, oh, I got some energy back. Oh, spiritually, I feel so filled up spiritually. Oh, physically, I feel so rested and I'm replenished. So these are the things that fill you up. And for fillers, I always say that they're pretty rational, because what could be a filling activity to somebody could be a drain to the other person.
Exactly.
So as a woman, you need to make sure that you are identifying the things that fill you up. And you need to have a list, at least 5 things in one thing in all these areas that fill you up. So socially, what is that thing that you do that fills you up? Spiritually, what is that thing that you do that fills you up? Emotionally, what is that thing that you do that fills you up? Mentally, physically, what is that thing? And then identify these things and make sure that you are scheduling them on your schedule. And it has to be conscious, because
Yes.
if not, they never happen. Because the thing is that the drains always take over, because those are the things that we usually prioritize as women naturally. So you want to make sure that you are scheduling the right amount of drains, of fillers onto your schedule to make up for the drains. And like you said, your self-care is different from somebody else's self-care. So you don't want to copycat. So that's why one thing I do with my clients, we build a personal strategy for yourself, and we tweak it as we go along to make sure that we are able to get you what you actually need to allow you to feel very replenished and very zen. So make sure that you're doing this. And when you're starting this too, don't aim for a big thing, okay? Start with 5 minutes at a time. And that's what I call the baby steps. So look at your schedule, look for the little loopholes, the time that you sit down and you go over people's profiles on Instagram, just why don't you use that time for self-care? The time that maybe you sit down. For me, one thing I do now is when I go to pick up my kids, I'm usually 15 minutes early.
Okay.
So that 15 minutes is the time that I just sit, and I always have worship music playing in my car. So I just sit and I enjoy it. It's my moment until the kids actually come out and I'm ready to get them, So look for those little loopholes and start with at least 5-10 minutes at a time. So maybe 5 in the morning before the kids wake up, or before you wake up or your day starts. During the day, look for those little loopholes. And then at night, do another 5 or 10. Start like that. And when you start getting into the groove, and then mentally your mind starts realizing that, okay, this is something that's part of me. The same way you wake up in the morning and you take a shower and you brush your teeth. Now that you're doing that 5 minutes before you go and brush your teeth, it becomes part of your routine. So then you can start increasing it, because your awareness is growing. Your subconscious awareness knows that this is part of you. Then you can start building upon it. Start with 5 and then move it to 20 and then probably 30. And then by the time you realize, all week you've been doing little bits and pieces of things that are filling you up, so you don't feel so tired like you would usually feel at the end of the week when you haven't done anything and your schedule is just full of drains. So that's the drains and fillers self-care method right there.
That's beautiful. Like you said so much, girl. I gotta unpack this. You said so much. Okay, so I really love. So first of all, guys, make sure you're taking notes, because Ama is dropping diamonds. Like, she is dropping jewels. So I loved how with your self-care you spoke on understanding that there are different types. We may think self-care is just the manicure, pedicure, or the hair, right? We may just think self-care is more, again, just physical. But you said it's physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's social, right? Those are 5 major areas. And then you also said to schedule them. So I'm a calendar girl. I love schedules. And so I went in my head, right? Now, maybe some of you have done this too. But in my head, I kind of planned out what I usually do. So I'm like, okay, for physical care, what do? I go run, I go work out. Obviously, right? I do that for a living, but that's also part of my care. So that one I've got check mark. I do that at least once a day. Mental self-care. What do I do for that? Now I'm thinking, okay, well, there are some books that I like to read, and that's just kind of just fun. I may do some studying on my business, whatever else. And that's care for me. I love self-advancement, so I'm going to self-study, and that's for me. And I might do that 2 or 3 times a week, and then spiritual self-care. I'm like, okay, I know I got that. I'm a preacher's daughter, so I know I've got that down. Every morning while I'm doing my physical care, I love listening to worship music. I love praising. I'll be running my dog screaming, take me to the king. Like, I'm loud, right? Like, me and Tammy going in. And then I'll get outside and I'll be in my garden. Like, I love being in the garden because I just feel, I feel life. I feel that, it's very Mother Earthy for me, and then for emotional care, I had to look like, when do I do that throughout the week? I never heard of an emotional self-care. Like what do I do? Is it venting? Is it talking to my homegirls? Well, no, that's social. So I feel like personally I may be lacking in the emotional self-care aspect. Maybe, hey, maybe me and mine need to schedule more date nights. Maybe whatever. So and then social, again, talking to friends. So guys, on Facebook, on YouTube, type in the comments out of your mental self-care, physical, spiritual, emotional, social. Which one do you need to improve on? Which one do you need to actually add that in your calendar specifically each week? For me, it's emotional self-care. I'm not a very emotional person, but it's still like I still notice when I've had enough, so that right there was gold. So again, guys, type in the comments, what area of self-care do you really need to improve on? And then when are you going to schedule that? When are you going to schedule that?
Yeah.
Now, here's a question. So with drainers and fillers, drainers, I love how you said that you kind of can't avoid those. You got to drive 2 hours to work, or you have to do this. You got to pick up the kids. You got to go pick up the poop outside from the dogs, right? Those are drainers. Now you have some fillers that can be all people. So what would you say to someone if they're going through their list of physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, social, if every filler is dealing with someone else? Is that healthy? Is that good? Is that something we need to look more into? What do you say, Ama?
I'm so happy you mentioned that, because, you want to make sure that the things that you are choosing as your self-care are not dependent on anybody.
Facts. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Diamonds, gems,
They
right
don't,
there.
they don't have, because I had a client like that who was always, oh, I wish my husband and I would do this. And I'm like, no, honey, this is about you. This is about the time for yourself. This is about what you are doing to make yourself happy. And a lot of us women make that mistake where we are waiting for somebody to come and make us happy, or come and do something with us so that we can get what we need. But which is good, it's good to do that, but you want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself by yourself first. And anything else that you get from anywhere else is an added bonus for you. So all these self-care, apart from social self-care, because definitely social self-care has to do with people and interaction with people and having a good support system in place. All right. So apart from that, things that have to do with emotional, physical, spiritual, all that, it's about you and finding how you're going to get that thing by yourself. It's about you right here. So it shouldn't be dependent on anybody else, because what if that person doesn't come through for you? Then what's going to happen to you?
Exactly.
And the thing is, we can't control people's reactions. That's why we need to try to do things for ourselves and know, because those are the things we can control, our own reactions to ourselves and what we do for ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself by yourself first.
Yeah.
Like that is beautiful. Like that's just, again, we can't be dependent on others, not just because we can't rely on someone else, but more for you have to do it for you. Not for someone else and not with someone else. So, and then if we can't do that, we fall into issues where people are falling into depression because of coronavirus, because we can't go to school, we can't go to work, or we can't socialize. Like I feel for kids. I pray for the kids that are like, some can't go to school and they're stuck at home, and it's harder for children to, have such a huge impact on them when they are social beings. We as adults, we can kind of handle a little bit differently, but even so, many of us are struggling with not being able to go, into work, or not being able to have those different levels. Like I spoke to a client the other day, and she was just like, I'm ready to go back to work. I'm trying to run back into work. I just want to go in, because we need that. So, but it is very important, like you said, to make sure that we are able to have that social care as social care, and but have everything else be separate for us, because again, coronavirus might pop back up and we might be quarantined in the house. So what are you going to do?
Another thing, I'm so happy you mentioned that, because even with the social care, sometimes we are waiting for people to reach out to us. And that's when you are trying to make it dependent on somebody else. So even with the social care, you have to consciously tell myself, these are the 3 people who are my support system, that when I talk to them, I feel good. They make me
Mm-hmm.
feel good. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they're not toxic people. They're
Mm-hmm.
positive people. So then you consciously reach out to them weekly by scheduling it put it on your schedule. I'm going to call this person today, or I'm
Yeah.
going to schedule a time that, hey, can we talk today for 15 minutes? Or can we
Mm-hmm.
talk on Monday for 15 minutes? That way it's up to you. You know, you're
Mm-hmm.
not waiting for them to reach out to you. So that's even another way of making sure that you are getting what you need
Yeah.
without waiting for other people to give it to us. And
Yeah.
that's where coronavirus comes in. You know, we want to reach out to people, because if not, you're going to be so lonely. And a lot of people are so lonely because they think, oh, nobody's reaching out to me. Oh, I'm not hearing from anybody. Everybody else. No. Why don't you reach out to people? Reach out
Exactly.
to your support system, you know?
The old folks used to say the phone goes both ways.
Yep, exactly.
Now I'm really interested in the drainers and fillers, and those areas of self-care is kind of what we just spoke on. So guys, do this exercise. I'm trying to tell you, this is going to help your life. So write out those areas of self-care and then plan them out for your week. Now, what happens, like, is there any way specifically we should plan? Like, should we plan our fillers around our drainers, or how do you kind of coach someone through that process?
So what I do with my clients is that we look at your schedule, okay? So we go over the schedule. What does your schedule look like? You know, things like
Mhm.
work, kids, all that, they're non-negotiable. You have to go to work. You have a schedule for work. So you
Right.
try to plan it around your already existing draining schedule,
Mm-hmm.
where you're looking for the loopholes. That's why I use the word loopholes. The loopholes are the little bits and pieces of time that you have on your schedule. When you go to work, you work at a certain point. You do have a lunch break, right? And then you go back to work. That 30-minute lunch break, what do you do with it? Some people find themselves sitting at their desk that 30 minutes still doing their work.
Uh-huh.
Some people would use that 30 minutes to engage in a very stressful conversation where maybe they're
Mhm.
calling the bill company, or they are having a fight with a friend on the phone or something. How about you consciously tell yourself that that 30 minutes is my non-negotiable self-care time? So I'm
There
going
you
to
go.
get out of my desk. I'm going to go, even if it means sitting in my car or sitting in the break room all by myself, have my headphones
Mhm.
on, listen to something that's really relaxing. And that's it right there. You just did 30 minutes of self-care. So we go through the schedule and look for those little loopholes. When the kids go to bed at night, or when everybody goes to bed at night, are you able to get 15 minutes off just for yourself, engaging in something that is filling? So
Yeah.
we plan it around the schedule, and then we do it with a little loopholes. That's why I do the baby steps,
Mhm.
because you don't want to over plan it. It's hard when you're starting something new. You want to start with the baby steps and do the ripple effect. So start with, even if it's a 5-minute loophole right there, use it and start it. And then we take advantage of things like, your commute, your daily commute. If
Right.
you're in the bus for 30 minutes, are you just sitting in the bus staring in the blank, or are you using that time to do something that's filling? Because that's time that you can use.
Yeah.
If you're cleaning at home, and can you put on the music, or even put on a podcast, or put on something that fills you up
Hmm.
whilst you're cleaning? Because I do that a lot, and I realize that that even gives me more motivation to clean them all, because I'm not bored. I'm listening and I'm enjoying it and I'm cleaning it. So you turn that draining activity into a filling activity, so you're getting both things,
Exactly.
whilst you're doing it. So those are the little bits and pieces of things that I implement with my clients, to allow them to start the groove of the self-care.
I love it. Like, it's about balance. And I
Yeah.
speak to my clients about the same exact thing. They're like, "Well, coach, I can't find time to work out. Well, coach, I'm so busy." And it's just like, okay, we have 24 hours in a day.
Oh, yes.
Whereas 168 hours during the week. Let's just give you the grace to say that you're going to sleep for 8 hours of the day. What
Mm,
else are we doing? So,
mm.
one, for everybody, that means that you need to have an actual schedule of your day. You
Yep.
need to know what's happening so that you can find where those times where that you can feel yourself. And then we need to capitalize on the empty times that we see.
Mm.
So if you now, unless you are a 24-hour a night truck driver, then all right, I can't do that much for you. But other than that, like, we have time, especially, I'm gonna take it back to health. We
Mm.
have time to heal our bodies. We we have positive decisions that we can make that can fill us versus drain us. So if we take those drainers and fillers over to food, okay, is stopping by McDonald's and getting, you know, a chicken sandwich and fries, is that going to be a drainer or a filler? What do you think? You know, so what are the things that we can do to improve our bodies? So like I always tell my clients, like, okay, when we're scheduling, you're not going to miss a day at work. If you do, you communicate with boss, so on and so forth, but you have a work schedule that you're not going to miss. You're not going to miss a meeting with your supervisor. You're not going to miss a meeting with your clients. You're not going to miss a meeting with your staff. So why are we missing meetings with ourselves?
Oh, yes. I like that.
You know, like, why are we missing our workouts? Why are you putting meeting with your boss more important than meeting with self? And that self meeting can be physical self-care with dealing with our health and wellness there. It can be our mental, spiritual, emotional, whatever else. It's like, okay, now on the other end, some folks, they have church every single day. You know, we both grew up in the church, and we know how that is. And it's like, Marlene, I see you on there. Hey, sis. You know, it's like, okay, we have all of these church meetings. We have all of these sorority meetings. We have all of these responsibilities that are, yes, they can have some filling aspects to them, but they're primarily drainers. So where's the balance? You know, especially on health and wellness, where's our mental fillers? Where we're going to put that in? Where are our physical and health fillers? So we have to look at, what am I prioritizing and where? Why is it okay for me to go to work for 16 hours a day, but come home and sit on the couch for the rest of the time? No, we've got to be able to be efficient with the fillers and the time that we can find. Like you said, do I want to sit on Instagram and sit here and scroll and look at social media and find out all the craziness that's going on with race relations, with the government, with whatever else? Yeah, stay informed, but don't be drained.
Yeah.
Use the opportunity to fill yourself. I love that. Oh man, I love that. And I'm definitely going to borrow some of that. I'm going to copyright. I'm going to CC you on that when I borrow it. Okay. So I want to get into self-value and self-esteem. And guys, if you're watching again on YouTube, on Facebook, please type in the comments. I'm watching you. If you have any questions for Ama, because she's on a roll, she's got it. So Ama, tell me about we as women, how in the Superwoman Syndrome, how are we devaluing ourselves by packing our schedules, or in any way? Like how does that play in?
So self-value and self-esteem plays in a lot in this area. I always give the analogy that, do you realize that most expensive bags and jewelry and shoes are designer stuff? We treat them well. So that's why when you use your bags, you come home, you clean it up, you put it in a box. Your gold jewelry, you come home, you clean it up, you care for it, you put it in a box because you don't want it to depreciate, right? You invest in a home and you're waking up in the morning and you're cleaning up and you're fixing things all around the house. Why is that so? It's because it's valuable. It's a big asset for you. So you don't want it to depreciate. So you're going to do everything possible to maintain it. So self-value plays here. I mean, it's very important here because a lot of us women are placing value on all these inanimate things and we are neglecting ourselves because we don't value ourselves. But we are more valuable than all these things. And I always tell my clients that, look, you're busy running around trying to make money, trying to buy a good car, trying to buy a house, trying to buy all these things. But imagine when you get all these things and you're not well, how are you going to enjoy these things? You're going to be bedridden and your cousins and family and everybody are just going to come enjoy it for you. And all they would have to do is to change your diapers and everything, and that's it. You know, so our self-value is very, very important because the things we value, we take care of them. So self-esteem and self-value is one of the major things I do with my clients. Before we can even implement a good self-care strategy, I want to make sure that your self-value is placed in the right place. And when I talk about being placed in the right place, I'm talking about having a balanced self-esteem. Where you've gotten to the point where you've realized that, look, I am not a perfect woman and there's nothing like a perfect woman. I have my own set of skills, abilities, capabilities, strengths, weaknesses, talents, gifts. You know, I call that your unique specs. The same way when you go buy a car, every car has its own unique specs. So a Mercedes-Benz cannot do the same things as another car can do. You know, the iPhone has
Yeah.
a different set of specs from the Samsung phone because they're made by different manufacturers and they all have different specs and things that they can do.
Okay.
So in the same way, you have your own set of skills, abilities, and all these things. How about we recognize these things? Because the more you can recognize your strengths, then you can capitalize on your strengths, and then you work on the weaknesses that you can work on. But there's some weaknesses that will never change, honey, maybe for the rest of your life.
Yep,
They're
that's
going to
true.
remain the same. They're going to be the same. No matter what you do, they may never change.
Uh-huh.
And so you get to the point where you need to accept those things and realize that, hey, life goes on. This is me. I have my strengths. I'm going to focus on my strengths. I'm going to work on the weaknesses that I can work on. And the ones that I cannot work on, I'm just going to let it go and live with it. You know, and
Mhm.
so what happens here is that when you're able to have that mentality and that mindset, you start to value yourself more. Because a lot of women, you mentioned what? Look at all these images that are portrayed to them and they're comparing themselves to these things. But they don't realize that this person out there, the media out there, is showing you the good about this person. So they are showing you their strength. So
Mhm.
even though you don't have that strength, you also need to realize that you also have your strength that this
Yep.
person might not even have, you
Yeah.
know. So why don't you focus on your strengths too? And that way you can value yourself, place value on yourself. The same way you clean your bags and you clean your shoes and you're making sure that your boots don't get dirty and you come home and you're polishing stuff and all that. You need to place value on yourself because you're more valuable than all these things. Because at the end of the day, you're made in the image of God, you know.
Tell 'em.
So you are more valuable than everything. Everything, and there's nothing can buy you. I tell people nothing can buy you.
Yeah.
So self-care, I mean, self-value, self-esteem, self-image it's a big thing here when you talk about self-care. And a lot of times, if you find a woman who is busy giving her time to everything else by herself and is not even ready to have a date with herself, usually there's a self-esteem issue or there's a
Mhm.
self-image issue right there. And she's just trying to cover up with all these things that she's doing to get herself busy, you know?
Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
it when you talk about self-value, you talk about how as a culture and as a whole, we value stuff and things,
Yeah.
right? More
Yeah.
technically, we value inanimate objects.
Hmm.
So my issue is always, and my message to people is always, why do we care more for the things that we put on
Mm.
instead of instead of ourselves? You
Yeah.
know, like it's always that, well, I want to get new shoes and I want to have new hair and I want to have this and I want to have that. So you value
Mm.
the things that you put on your body to make your body up instead of actually building your body. It's, just cost wise. Okay, personal training would be this, gym membership is this. Like, I've got to get my nails done. We have to change like you said, our value system and change the point system for how we value these different things. And
Yep.
there's nothing wrong, don't get me wrong, guys, there's nothing wrong with putting nice things on.
Mm.
There's nothing wrong with that. But the nice things are not more valuable than your body,
Yep.
than your mental
Yep.
space, your mental peace, your spiritual, all of that. So stop putting things on to make you up. You are the thing that God made, not that. And you
Yep.
are the most beautiful thing that is ever going to be in your life. And you have to know that.
Mm.
So that also goes into self-awareness. Like, who am I? Like
Exactly.
what did God make me? Like, who did God make? And sometimes
Mm.
when we look into that mirror and really look at, well, the only thing greater than me is God himself. Then we can
Yep.
look at, like, okay, so I don't need to spend this extra money on these things because someone else is going to like those things.
Yep.
If that person cannot see my value, that's okay. I see my value.
Oh,
And the
yes.
people that God has brought into my life, they see that value. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
we've got to just in general, we've got to change and shift what we value.
Yep.
Forget the stuff and things,
Yep.
guys, forget the inanimate things. Forget that. Let's
Mm-hmm.
value ourselves and not the
Mm-hmm.
things that we put on that make us think that we're caring for ourselves. So,
Yep.
and notice that Ama didn't say self-care was buying stuff and things. That wasn't in physical self-care, mental,
No.
spiritual, emotional, social. It wasn't about the stuff. It's all about you. You
Yep.
know, so I know, guys, everybody has heard of put your oxygen mask on first.
Oh, yes.
Care of self first. You are not going to be the thing that people need you to be in their lives if you are raggedy. You know, if you don't have the mental space or peace to help someone or do whatever else. So we've got to understand it's about us first. We have to care for us so that we can do God's purpose and God's mission and God's work. And I want to hit on one more thing. I love what you said earlier. I've been loving everything that you've been saying. Now, in terms of drainers and fillers, again, my favorite part of this conversation, when we deal with other people, you know, and let's say that's okay for my social aspect, or, you know, you're in a relationship, for your relationship, your emotional aspect, it's that person. What happens and how do we deal with it when that person you're a drainer to that person, or, you know, you reach that person in a time where they need a filler and you're being needy.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
How can we see that? Like, and then how can we fix that within ourselves?
So usually when I do the support system, I try to get my clients to, that's why coaching also comes in, you know, everybody needs a coach. I always say this, every coach needs a coach, everybody needs a coach, because we are professionals who are trained to listen to people and be there for them.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that your support system, you at least have that one person, even if it means you're paying that person to give you that listening ear, you have it. And that's where I know you said you spoke about investing in yourself. A lot of people have a hard time accepting that. And when I tell them, they think I'm just trying to sell them because I'm a coach myself. But honestly, yes, you do have a support system, maybe 3-4 people who are your lady friends or who are your family members or maybe your pastor that you talk to, or maybe that you reach out to if you need somebody to offload on. But the truth is, a lot of times, maybe they may not even have the capacity or the professional know-how of how to even walk you through your emotions or even walk you through the conversation to be able to do it the right way. So usually what I tell my clients, or I tell people, is that you need to invest in yourself by paying a coach or even a therapist, you know. We need it. And a lot of us people have a hard time with that, you know, but it works. I say God created coaches, or God gave coaches or God gave people the knowledge to train coaches for this. The same way you have a doctor that you go to when you're sick, or you have a vet that you take your animals to, or you have an IT person who does your computer stuff for you.
Exactly.
You have a problem with your computer, or, you know, that profession, you have an accountant who takes care of your bills. That's the same with our coaches, who are there for you, to listen to you and allow you to
want to make sure we're still on. We didn't lose each other. Okay. Alma, you still there? Having some technical difficulties, guys. Hang on for just a second. She's on her way back.
Person who would always be there, and if it means paying for them, pay for it and invest in it.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it. Like, everything you said today has been absolutely on point, amazing. I 100% agree. Like, and I think one of the biggest things that we can take home is that, one, from what you just said, we can't expect one person to be everything to us.
Yeah.
That means, in turn, we can't be everything to someone else. So we need to outsource. You know, we need to have specialists that we go to. You know I'm gonna call my grandma and my auntie if I have like a, you know, something in the garden or something medical. I'm gonna call them. Like, those are the people that I outsource, you know. Or you're gonna call, I had a furnace guy here today. Like, you're going to outsource. So ladies, yes, we are awesome. Yes, we are phenomenal. Yes, we are the baddest things on this earth. That's cool. But we need to recognize that in order to be that awesome, we have to relinquish some power in our other areas. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to say,
Mm,
I can, but it's going to drain me. And I want to give you the best thing that I have, which is going to be someone else. You
yep.
know, we
Yep.
just need to recognize that we can't do everything ourselves, nor should we, nor
Yep.
should we try. So stop trying to be Superwoman.
Mm-hmm.
You're already super.
Yep, yep. And I'm happy that you mentioned outsourcing because there are four things I actually do with my clients. Okay.
Mm,
The first thing is the self-care piece, and then we do the delegation, where we try to look at the things that you can outsource. So
yes.
sometimes we are holding on to certain tasks, and for them, we think that because we have all these things on our schedule, we are perfect,
Mm-hmm.
we are superwoman, and we are walking around with the badge of, superwoman, when in reality they're just draining us. You can easily just give it to somebody to get it done for you, and then you're done.
Exactly.
So we do that delegation piece, and then we do the boundaries. You mentioned saying no. A lot of women can't say no. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure you have the right boundaries in place. And then again, the self-esteem. So delegation is very important because like today, I'm looking for somebody to do my marketing for me because I'm stressed out with it. I can't do it. I didn't go into
Uh-huh.
coaching to be a marketing expert, you know? So as soon as I find somebody to do it, I'm just going to let it go. Take care of it. I'm done. you
Mm-hmm.
know, even with cleaning, sometimes I delegate it. I can't clean. I'm tired. I would pay somebody to come do the cleaning for me. It doesn't make me a lazy woman. Or it doesn't
Not at
make
all.
me a bad woman. And that's where, culture, again, I said culture comes in because we have been
Yeah.
schooled to think that a woman needs to do everything
Mm-hmm.
or do all these things. When we are delegating it, we feel guilty. That's where the guilt comes in.
Yes.
I had a client like that who was so guilty to the point where she's trying to homeschool her kids. She's trying to write an exam for certification. She's trying to run a business. She works overnight. I'm like, no, honey, you can't do it all.
Yeah.
Outsource something. So she outsourced the schooling part and she put her child in a school. And she's like, oh, I'm so happy I did this because I was trying to be the perfect mom, the perfect everything. And I thought that homeschooling my kid was going to make me look like I'm doing so well, when in reality, you're just killing yourself. So
Exactly.
outsourcing is one big piece of this too. You want to be able to outsource, and definitely there are certain things that you cannot outsource.
Yes.
you know, for
Like,
example,
don't outsource your kids, family. Like, don't do it.
exactly, or you can outsource what you have to do for your partner. You can't do that.
Don't do
But
that.
the things that you can easily outsource and give it to an expert to do it, let them do it because it's their job, it's their profession. They can do it. Let them do it. And
Hmm.
it takes that thing off your plate, and then it helps you even have more time for self-care or taking
Absolutely.
care of yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, guys, we've heard some amazing tips on how to live a successful life. We've hit on physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social. We've hit on so many aspects. And the biggest thing is, again, like we we don't want to strive to be Superwoman. You already are.
Mm,
You were born that way. God
yep.
created you to be super. God created you to be amazing. Now, the only thing that we need to worry about doing is fulfilling his tasks. Now, while fulfilling those tasks, we may be bombarded with, okay, now I got to worry about my self-care. I've got to worry about my kids, worry about all these other things. That's great. But again, we need to look at outsourcing. We need to look at delegating. We need to
Hmm.
look at when to say no. It's okay that tasks need to get done, but they don't always have to be done from you. You
Hmm.
are the most important thing in your life, not your kids, not your spouse. It's you. Because without you, they can't be, or they won't be able to have the opportunities that you're supposed to give them. But we have to prepare you and free you and fill you so that you can be that amazing piece of their life that they need you to be. So Ama, thank you so much for joining. This was awesome. I would love to have you back on. Go ahead. I put it in the Facebook link, but give everybody your information again so that they can contact you. Again, Ama is a success coach. She's a life coach. She does all that. So holler at her because obviously she's amazing. Ama, give us your info again.
All right. So the name of my company is Empowered for Balance. So Facebook and Instagram is both Empowered for Balance. You can just send me a DM over there and I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. And then you can go to my website, which is www.empoweredforbalance.com. If you want to send me a quick message, you can go to empoweredforbalance.com/contact. There's a form right there. Just fill it up. Just write, I want balance. And that's it. You don't have to write a whole email. Just write, I want balance. And I'll know what you're looking for. And then I'll reach out to you and then we can have a conversation. All right. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for having me.
No, thank you. So guys, holler at I'm gonna holler at her personally for my own drama that I need to help sorting out. And then of course, you know what I do. My name is Coach Cailah. This is my channel, Life, Health, and Success, where we talk strategies and life around health. How do we put ourselves in a better position to get healthy? I do online workout programs, online workout clubs, and nutrition coaching. So contact me. You have my information. Thank you guys so much. Ama, thank you so much. And guys, always